Disrespect. It's something we've all faced at some point. Maybe it was a snide comment from a coworker, a dismissive remark from a friend, or even a stranger cutting you off in traffic. In those moments, it's easy to feel the heat rise, the urge to lash out, or the sting of humiliation. But what if I told you there's a way to handle disrespect that doesn't involve losing your cool or sacrificing your dignity? Enter Stoicism, an ancient philosophy that's as relevant today as it was 2,000 years ago. Marcus Aurelius, one of history's greatest Stoic thinkers, once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this and you will find strength. That's the heart of what we're exploring today, 15 Stoic principles to help you navigate disrespect with calm, clarity, and control. These aren't just abstract ideas, they're practical tools you can use in your daily life, whether you're dealing with a difficult boss, a rude comment online, or even a personal betrayal. So, if you're ready to transform how you respond to disrespect and reclaim your peace of mind, let's dive in. What if you could observe disrespect without letting it define you? This is the essence of cognitive detachment, a cornerstone of Stoic philosophy. The Stoics believed that external events, whether praise, criticism, or outright disrespect, are indifferent. They don't inherently hold power over us unless we give them that power. Epictetus, a Stoic philosopher and former slave, put it simply, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. In other words, while you can't control what others say or do, you can control how you respond. Let's bring this into a modern context. Imagine scrolling through social media and stumbling across a harsh comment directed at you. Your first instinct might be to fire back, defend yourself, or even spiral into self-doubt. But what if instead you paused and asked yourself, is this comment within my control? Does it define my worth? The answer, of course, is no. By practicing cognitive detachment, you can observe the comment as just that, a comment. It's an external event like the weather, and you have the power to decide whether it affects your inner peace. This doesn't mean ignoring disrespect or pretending it doesn't sting. It's about recognizing that your emotions are separate from the event itself. When you detach your self-worth from others' opinions, you reclaim your power. So the next time someone throws a rude remark your way, try this. Take a deep breath, remind yourself that their words are theirs, not yours, and choose how you want to respond, or if you even need to respond at all. How often do you let others' words dictate your emotions? It's a question worth reflecting on, because the more you practice cognitive detachment, the more you'll find that disrespect loses its grip on you. And that's where true freedom begins. Disrespect is often beyond your control, but your response isn't. This is the core of the Stoic dichotomy of control, a principle that divides life into two categories: what's within your power and what isn't. The Stoics believed that wasting energy on things outside your control only leads to frustration and anxiety. Instead, they taught that true peace comes from focusing on what you can influence: your thoughts, actions, and reactions. Seneca, one of Stoicism's most influential voices, put it this way: we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. In other words, the sting of disrespect often comes not from the act itself, but from how we interpret it. By shifting your focus to what you can control, your mindset and your response, you take back the reins of your emotional well-being. Take Marcus Aurelius, for example. As Roman emperor, he faced constant betrayal, criticism, and disrespect from those around him. Yet, instead of lashing out or seeking revenge, he chose to focus on his own character and actions. In his personal writings, he reminded himself, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." This wasn't just philosophical musing. It was a practical strategy for maintaining his composure in the face of relentless challenges. So how can you apply this in your own life? Start by identifying what's truly within your control. When someone disrespects you, you can't force them to change their behavior, but you can choose how you respond. Maybe it's taking a moment to breathe before reacting, or deciding not to engage at all. The key is to redirect your energy from what you can't change to what you can, your own actions and mindset. Think about a recent situation where you felt disrespected. What would it look like to focus solely on what you could control in that moment? Perhaps it's letting go of the need to prove yourself, or choosing to respond with kindness instead of anger. By practicing this shift in focus, you'll find that disrespect loses its power to disrupt your peace. The Stoic dichotomy of control isn't about ignoring the world around you, it's about reclaiming your power within it. When you stop trying to control the uncontrollable and start focusing on your own responses, you'll discover a deeper sense of calm and resilience. And isn't that what we're all striving for? Picture a tree standing tall in a storm. The wind howls, the branches sway, but the tree doesn't break. Why? Because its roots run deep, anchoring it firmly to the ground. In the same way, inner resilience is what keeps us steady when life's storms like disrespect come our way. The Stoics understood this deeply. They believed that resilience isn't something you're born with, it's something you cultivate day by day through practice and perspective. Marcus Aurelius, a man who faced immense challenges as both a ruler and a human being, once wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." In other words, the very things that test us, disrespect, criticism, hardship, are the very things that can make us stronger. They're opportunities to build resilience, to grow, and to prove to ourselves that we're capable of enduring without losing our composure. Let's bring this into a modern context. Imagine you're at work and your manager criticizes a project you've poured your heart into. It's easy to feel defensive, hurt, or even angry. But what if, instead of reacting, you paused and asked yourself, how can I use this moment to grow? What can I learn from this feedback, even if it's delivered poorly? This shift in mindset doesn't mean you ignore the sting of disrespect. It means you use it as fuel to strengthen your inner resilience. Resilience isn't about being unshakable or emotionless. It's about bending without breaking, like that tree in the storm. It's about acknowledging the difficulty of the moment while reminding yourself that you have the strength to endure it. The Stoics called this Ammaphati, a love of fate. It's the practice of embracing whatever life throws at you, not because it's easy, but because it's an opportunity to grow. So, how can you start building your inner resilience today? Begin by reframing challenges as opportunities. When someone disrespects you, instead of seeing it as a personal attack, view it as a chance to practice patience, self-control, and grace. Over time, these small acts of resilience add up, creating a foundation of strength that can carry you through even the toughest moments. Think about it. What's one situation in your life where you could practice bending without breaking? Maybe it's a difficult conversation, a harsh comment, or a moment of self-doubt. Whatever it is, remember that resilience isn't about avoiding the storm. It's about learning to stand tall within it. And with each challenge you face, you'll find yourself growing stronger, steadier, and more unshakable than ever before. What if disrespect isn't an attack but an opportunity? What if, instead of seeing it as a blow to your ego, you could view it as a chance to grow? This is the essence of the Stoic practice of reframing, a powerful tool for transforming how you perceive and respond to life's challenges. The Stoics believed that every obstacle, every act of disrespect carries within it the seed of growth. It's not about pretending the sting doesn't exist. It's about choosing to see the bigger picture. Epictetus, a philosopher who endured slavery and hardship, famously said, "Every difficulty in life presents us with an opportunity to turn inward and to invoke our own inner resources." In other words, when someone disrespects you, It's not just a moment of discomfort, it's a chance to practice patience, to strengthen your resilience, and to deepen your understanding of yourself. Let's bring this into a modern context. Imagine you're at a family gathering and a relative makes a snide remark about your career choices. Your first instinct might be to feel hurt or defensive. But what if instead you paused and asked yourself, what can I learn from this? Is there a kernel of truth in their comment, even if it was poorly delivered? Could this be an opportunity to reflect on my path and reaffirm my choices? By reframing the situation, you shift from being a passive recipient of disrespect to an active participant in your own growth. This doesn't mean you have to agree with or accept every rude comment. It's about finding value in the experience, even if that value is simply the chance to practice grace under pressure. Think of it like sharpening a blade. The friction of disrespect can hone your character, making you stronger and more resilient over time. So, how can you start reframing disrespect in your own life? Begin by asking yourself, what lesson can I take from this? How can I use this moment to grow? Maybe it's learning to let go of the need for approval or discovering a new way to communicate your boundaries. The key is to shift your focus from what's being done to you to what you can do for yourself. Consider a recent moment when you felt disrespected. How might you reframe it as an opportunity for growth? Perhaps it's a chance to practice forgiveness, to strengthen your emotional resilience, or even to recognize areas where you can improve. By adopting this mindset, you'll find that disrespect becomes less of a burden and more of a teacher, one that guides you toward becoming the best version of yourself. The Stoics didn't just endure life's challenges, they embraced them as opportunities. And when you start to see disrespect through this lens, you'll discover that even the most difficult moments can become stepping stones on your path to growth. Disrespect often stems from ignorance, not malice. This is a key insight from Stoicism that can completely shift how you respond to difficult interactions. The Stoics believed that most people act out of their own struggles, insecurities, or misunderstandings, not because they're inherently bad or out to hurt you. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, wrote, "When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly. They are like this because they cannot tell good from evil." At first glance, this might sound harsh, but there's a profound truth here. When you recognize that disrespect often comes from a place of ignorance or pain, it becomes easier to respond with empathy rather than anger. Let's break this down with a real-world example. Imagine you're in line at a coffee shop and the person in front of you snaps at the barista for a minor mistake. Your initial reaction might be frustration or judgment. How could someone be so rude? But what if instead you paused and considered what might be going on in that person's life? Maybe they're stressed about a looming deadline, dealing with a personal crisis, or simply having a terrible day. This doesn't excuse their behavior, but understanding their potential struggles can help you respond with compassion rather than irritation. Empathy doesn't mean you have to tolerate disrespect or let others walk all over you. It's about recognizing the humanity in others even when they're at their worst. By doing so, you not only diffuse your own anger but also create space for more constructive interactions. Think of it as a mental shift. Instead of seeing someone's rudeness as a personal attack, you see it as a reflection of their inner world. This perspective can be incredibly freeing, allowing you to respond with calm and clarity rather than getting caught up in the heat of the moment. So, how can you practice this in your daily life? Start by asking yourself a simple question. What might be causing this person to act this way? It's a small shift, but it can have a big impact. Maybe the coworker who made a snide comment is feeling insecure about their own performance. Or the stranger who cut you off in traffic is rushing to an emergency. When you approach disrespect with curiosity rather than defensiveness, you open the door to understanding, and that understanding can be a powerful tool for maintaining your own peace of mind. Take a moment to reflect. Can you think of a time when someone's disrespectful behavior might have been rooted in their own struggles? How might seeing their actions through the lens of empathy have changed your response? By practicing this Stoic principle, you'll find that empathy isn't just a gift to others, it's a gift to yourself, helping you navigate life's challenges with greater grace and resilience. Empathy doesn't mean you ignore your own boundaries or let others off the hook for their actions. It's about choosing to see the bigger picture, to recognize that everyone is fighting their own battles. And when you approach disrespect with this mindset, you'll discover that it loses much of its power to upset you. Instead, it becomes an opportunity to practice compassion, to strengthen your own character, and to remind yourself that even in the face of rudeness, you have the power to choose how you respond. This is the beauty of Stoicism. It doesn't just teach you how to endure life's challenges, it shows you how to grow from them. And when you start to see disrespect as a chance to practice empathy and understanding, you'll find that even the most difficult interactions can become moments of profound personal growth. How often do you react impulsively to disrespect? It's a question worth asking because in the heat of the moment, it's easy to let emotions take the wheel. But the Stoics understood something profound: the power of presence. Staying fully in the moment rather than getting swept up in anger or defensiveness is one of the most effective ways to handle disrespect without losing your cool. Seneca, the great Stoic philosopher, once said, "The greatest remedy for anger is delay." In other words, when you pause and ground yourself in the present, you create space to respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. Let's break this down with a scenario. Imagine you're in the middle of a heated argument with a friend or partner. Voices are raised, words are flying, and you feel the urge to fire back with something equally sharp. But what if, instead of reacting immediately, you took a deep breath and focused on the present moment? What if you noticed the tension in your body, the rhythm of your breath, and the tone of your voice? This simple act of mindfulness can be a game changer. It allows you to step back, assess the situation, and choose your words with intention rather than letting anger dictate your response. The Stoics believed that presence of mind is a skill, one that can be cultivated through practice. It's about training yourself to stay grounded even when emotions are running high. Think of it like a mental anchor. When the waves of disrespect threaten to pull you under, presence keeps you steady. It's not about suppressing your feelings or pretending everything is fine. It's about acknowledging your emotions without letting them control you. So, how can you practice this in your daily life? Start small. The next time someone says something disrespectful, try this. Pause for just a few seconds. Notice what's happening in your body and mind. Are your shoulders tense? Is your heart racing? By tuning into these physical cues, you create a moment of awareness that can help you respond more calmly. Over time, this practice becomes second nature, allowing you to navigate even the most challenging interactions with grace and composure. Consider this: what would it look like to bring more presence into your next difficult conversation? Maybe it's taking a moment to breathe before responding, or simply reminding yourself to stay focused on the here and now. The more you practice, the more you'll find that presence of mind isn't just a tool for handling disrespect, it's a pathway to deeper self-awareness and emotional resilience. Staying present doesn't mean you ignore the situation or let others off the hook. It's about reclaiming your power in the moment, choosing how you want to show up, and refusing to let disrespect derail your peace. And when you approach life with this mindset, you'll discover that even the most challenging moments can become opportunities to grow stronger, calmer, and more in control. Presence of mind is more than just a Stoic principle, it's a way of life. And the more you practice it, the more you'll find that disrespect loses its ability to shake you. Instead, it becomes a chance to deepen your understanding of yourself and others, to respond with clarity rather than chaos, and to move through the world with a quiet, unshakable confidence. Disrespect says more about them than you. This is a cornerstone of Stoic philosophy, a reminder that when someone acts rudely or dismissively, it's a reflection of their character, not yours. The Stoics believed that your self-worth isn't tied to what others say or do. Instead, it's rooted in your own values, actions, and integrity. Epictetus, the Stoic philosopher who endured slavery and hardship, put it bluntly: if anyone tells you that a certain person speaks ill of you, do not make excuses about what is said, but answer, "He was ignorant of my other faults, else he would not have mentioned these alone." In other words, insults and disrespect are often projections of the other person's insecurities, biases, or struggles, not an accurate measure of your worth. Let's bring this into a modern context. Imagine you're at a social event and someone makes a snide remark about your appearance or choices. Your first instinct might be to feel hurt or defensive, wondering if there's truth to their words. But what if instead you paused and reminded yourself, this isn't about me, it's about them? Maybe they're feeling insecure, jealous, or simply having a bad day. Their comment isn't a reflection of your value, it's a window into their own inner world. This doesn't mean you have to ignore disrespect or let it slide. It's about choosing not to internalize it. When you detach your self-worth from others' opinions, you free yourself from the emotional roller coaster of seeking validation. Think of it like this: if someone throws a rock at you, it's not your fault they threw it, but it is your choice whether to pick it up and carry it around. So, how can you practice this in your daily life? Start by creating a mental boundary between yourself and the disrespectful behavior. When someone says or does something rude, remind yourself, this is about them, not me. You might even visualize their words as clouds passing by, present but not permanent. Over time, this practice helps you build emotional resilience, allowing you to navigate disrespect with calm and clarity. Reflect on this. How can you remind yourself not to take things personally? Maybe it's repeating a mantra like "I am not defined by others' opinions," or journaling about your core values to reinforce your sense of self. The key is to anchor your worth in something unshakable, your own principles and actions rather than the fleeting judgments of others. By adopting this Stoic mindset, you'll find that disrespect loses its sting. It becomes less about you and more about understanding the complexities of human behavior. And when you stop taking things personally, you reclaim your power, your peace, and your ability to move through the world with confidence and grace. This isn't just a philosophical idea. It's a practical tool for living a more grounded, resilient life. And the more you practice it, the more you'll discover that the opinions of others, no matter how harsh, can't diminish the value you hold within yourself. What if your silence spoke louder than words? In a world where quick comebacks and heated exchanges often dominate, the Stoics offer a counterintuitive yet powerful tool: silence. Responding to disrespect with restraint isn't about weakness or surrender. It's about strength. It's about choosing not to engage in battles that don't serve you, preserving your dignity, and refusing to let someone else's negativity dictate your actions. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher king, once wrote, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." In other words, when someone disrespects you, the most powerful response isn't to match their energy, it's to rise above it. Let's break this down with a historical example. Consider Abraham Lincoln, who faced relentless criticism and personal attacks during his presidency. Instead of retaliating or engaging in public feuds, he often chose silence. In one famous instance, a political rival insulted him in front of a crowd. Lincoln's response, he simply walked away, refusing to dignify the attack with a reaction. This act of restraint didn't just preserve his dignity, it also highlighted the pettiness of his critic. By choosing silence, Lincoln demonstrated that his focus was on his mission, not on petty disputes. So, how does this apply to your life? Imagine you're in a meeting and a colleague makes a condescending remark about your ideas. Your first instinct might be to defend yourself or fire back with a sharp retort. But what if instead you chose silence, not as a sign of defeat, but as a deliberate choice to disengage from the negativity? Silence in this context isn't passive, it's a statement. It says, I won't let your words derail me, I have better things to focus on. The beauty of silence is that it disarms conflict. When you refuse to engage, you take away the fuel that keeps disrespect burning. It's like stepping out of a storm. Suddenly, the wind has nothing to push against. This doesn't mean you ignore the issue entirely. It means you respond on your own terms with clarity and intention rather than reacting in the heat of the moment. Think about it. When might silence be your best response? Maybe it's when someone's trying to provoke you, or when engaging would only escalate the situation. Silence gives you the space to reflect, to choose your next move wisely, and to maintain your inner peace. It's a reminder that you don't have to participate in every argument you're invited to. The Stoics understood that silence is a form of power. It's a way to reclaim control over your emotions and your actions. By practicing restraint, you show that your worth isn't tied to others' opinions, and that's a message that speaks louder than any words ever could. So, the next time you're faced with disrespect, consider this. What could your silence say about your strength, your dignity, and your ability to rise above the noise? Disrespect can be a mirror for your own behavior. This might sound counterintuitive at first. After all, when someone disrespects you, it's easy to focus on their actions rather than your own. But the Stoics believed that every interaction, even a negative one, offers an opportunity for self-reflection. Instead of dismissing criticism or lashing out, they saw it as a chance to examine their own character and grow. Seneca, one of Stoicism's most profound thinkers, put it this way: associate with people who are likely to improve you. Welcome those whom you are capable of improving. The process is a mutual one. People learn as they teach. In other words, even disrespect can be a teacher if you're willing to listen. Let's bring this into a modern context. Imagine you're at work and a colleague criticizes your approach to a project. Your first reaction might be defensiveness or frustration. But what if, instead of dismissing their feedback, you took a step back and asked yourself, is there any truth to what they're saying? Could I have handled this differently? This doesn't mean you have to agree with every critique, but by reflecting on your own actions, you open the door to self-improvement. The Stoics called this practice prosoch, a habit of constant self-awareness. It's about looking inward, not to blame yourself, but to understand how you can grow. Think of it like polishing a mirror. The clearer your self-awareness, the better you can see your strengths and areas for improvement. And when you approach disrespect with this mindset, it becomes less about the other person and more about your own journey toward becoming the best version of yourself. So, how can you start practicing this in your daily life? Begin by setting aside a few minutes each day to reflect on your interactions. Ask yourself, did I handle that situation with integrity? Is there something I could have done differently? This isn't about dwelling on mistakes, it's about learning from them. Over time, this habit of self-examination will help you respond to disrespect with greater wisdom and grace. Consider this: what can you learn from a recent instance of disrespect? Maybe it's a chance to improve your communication skills, to set clearer boundaries, or to let go of the need for external validation. By turning the mirror on yourself, you transform moments of conflict into opportunities for growth. The Stoics didn't just endure life's challenges, they used them as tools for self-improvement. And when you start to see disrespect through this lens, you'll find that even the most difficult interactions can become stepping stones on your path to becoming a stronger, more self-aware version of yourself. Not every battle is worth fighting. The Stoics understood this deeply, teaching that discernment, knowing when to engage and when to let go, is a cornerstone of wisdom. Epictetus, the Stoic philosopher, put it simply, some things are in our control and others are not. If you want to be happy, focus on what you can control. This isn't just about avoiding conflict, it's about conserving your energy for what truly matters. Think about it. How often do you find yourself caught up in arguments or disputes that, in hindsight, didn't really matter? Maybe it was a heated debate online, a snide comment from a stranger, or even a disagreement with a loved one that spiraled out of proportion. In those moments, it's easy to get swept up in the heat of the moment, but the Stoics would ask, is this worth your energy? Let's bring this into a real-world scenario. Imagine you're at a family gathering and a relative makes a sarcastic remark about your lifestyle choices. Your first instinct might be to defend yourself, to prove them wrong, or to fire back with a sharp retort. But what if instead you paused and asked yourself, does this really matter? Will engaging in this argument bring me closer to my goals, or will it just drain my energy and peace of mind? Choosing your battles wisely doesn't mean you're avoiding conflict or letting others walk all over you. It's about recognizing that not every slight requires a response. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is walk away, not because you're weak, but because you're strong enough to know that your energy is better spent elsewhere. So how can you start applying this principle in your own life? Begin by asking yourself a simple question before reacting. Is this worth my time and energy? If the answer is no, let it go. If the answer is yes, approach the situation with clarity and intention, focusing on what you can control rather than getting caught up in the chaos. Consider this. What's one battle you've been fighting that might not be worth your energy? Maybe it's a recurring argument with a coworker, a petty feud with a neighbor, or even an internal struggle over something you can't change. By practicing discernment, you'll find that you have more time, energy, and peace to focus on what truly matters: your goals, your values, and the people who truly deserve your attention. The Stoics didn't just teach us how to endure life's challenges, they showed us how to navigate them with wisdom and grace. And when you start choosing your battles wisely, you'll discover that not every slight needs a response, not every argument needs to be won, and not every moment of disrespect needs to derail your peace. Instead, you'll find yourself moving through the world with a quiet confidence, knowing that your energy is too valuable to waste on things that don't truly matter. Disrespect can be a teacher if you let it. This might sound counterintuitive after all. Who wants to feel grateful for being treated poorly? But the Stoics saw challenges, including disrespect, as opportunities for growth. They believed that adversity isn't something to avoid or resent, it's something to embrace. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher king, put it this way: the obstacle is the way. In other words, the very things that test us, whether it's criticism, rudeness, or outright disrespect, are the very things that can make us stronger, wiser, and more resilient. Let's break this down with a practical example. Imagine you're at work and a colleague criticizes your presentation in front of the team. Your first reaction might be to feel embarrassed or defensive. But what if, instead of focusing on the sting of their words, you asked yourself, what can I learn from this? Maybe their feedback, even if poorly delivered, highlights an area where you can improve. Or perhaps it's an opportunity to practice responding with grace under pressure. By shifting your perspective, you transform a moment of disrespect into a chance for growth. This isn't about pretending the situation doesn't hurt or brushing it off as insignificant. It's about finding value in the experience even when it's uncomfortable. Think of it like lifting weights. The resistance is what builds your strength. In the same way, the friction of disrespect can sharpen your character, teaching you patience, humility, and resilience. So, how can you start practicing gratitude for challenges in your own life? Begin by asking yourself a simple question: what can I be grateful for in this difficult situation? Maybe it's the chance to practice forgiveness, to strengthen your emotional resilience, or even to recognize areas where you can grow. The key is to shift your focus from what's being done to you to what you can gain from the experience. Consider this: what's one recent moment of disrespect that you can reframe as an opportunity? Perhaps it's a harsh comment that taught you to let go of the need for approval, or a difficult conversation that helped you set clearer boundaries. By practicing gratitude for challenges, you'll find that even the most uncomfortable moments can become stepping stones on your path to becoming the best version of yourself. The Stoics didn't just endure life's challenges, they embraced them as opportunities. And when you start to see disrespect through this lens, you'll discover that even the most difficult interactions can become moments of profound personal growth. Gratitude isn't about ignoring the pain. It's about finding the strength to rise above it, to learn from it, and to move forward with greater wisdom and resilience. So, the next time you're faced with disrespect, ask yourself, what can this teach me? You might be surprised by the answers and by how much stronger you become in the process. Imagine wearing a suit of armor, standing tall as arrows fly toward you. Some hit, some miss, but none pierce through. That's the Stoic idea of developing a thick skin, building emotional resilience so that insults and disrespect don't wound you. The Stoics believed that while you can't control what others say or do, you can control how you let it affect you. Seneca, one of Stoicism's most eloquent voices, wrote, "A man is as unhappy as he has convinced himself he is." In other words, the pain of disrespect often comes not from the act itself, but from how deeply we allow it to cut. Let's bring this into a modern context. Think about public figures, politicians, celebrities, or even influencers who face constant criticism, both fair and unfair. How do they handle it? Some crumble under the pressure, while others seem unfazed. The difference often lies in their ability to develop a thick skin. They've learned to separate their self-worth from the opinions of others, to let criticism roll off their backs without letting it define them. But here's the key: developing a thick skin doesn't mean becoming callous or indifferent. It's not about shutting down your emotions or pretending you don't care. It's about creating a healthy boundary between yourself and the negativity around you. Think of it like this: you can hear the noise without letting it drown out your inner peace. So, how can you start building this kind of resilience? Begin by practicing detachment. When someone insults you, pause and ask yourself, does this reflect who I am, or is it just their perspective? Most of the time, you'll find that their words say more about them than about you. Next, focus on your values. The Stoics believed that anchoring yourself in your principles, kindness, integrity, courage gives you a solid foundation to stand on, no matter what arrows come your way. Consider this: what's one area of your life where you could use a thicker skin? Maybe it's dealing with criticism at work, handling rude comments online, or even navigating difficult family dynamics. By practicing these Stoic principles, you'll find that disrespect loses its power to shake you. Instead, it becomes an opportunity to strengthen your emotional resilience and deepen your understanding of yourself. Developing a thick skin isn't about becoming invincible, it's about becoming unshakable. It's about knowing that no matter what others say or do, your worth remains intact. And when you approach life with this mindset, you'll find that even the sharpest arrows of disrespect can't pierce the armor of your inner strength. What if kindness disarmed disrespect? It's a question that might seem counterintuitive at first. After all, when someone treats you poorly, the natural response is often to match their energy or retreat into defensiveness. But the Stoics offer a different approach, responding with virtue even in the face of adversity. They believe that true strength lies not in retaliation, but in maintaining your integrity and treating others with compassion, no matter how they treat you. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher king, put it beautifully: the best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury. In other words, when someone disrespects you, the most powerful response isn't to mirror their behavior, it's to rise above it with kindness. Let's break this down with a practical example. Imagine you're at a coffee shop and the person in front of you snaps at the barista for a minor mistake. Your first instinct might be to feel annoyed or even judgmental toward the rude customer. But what if instead you chose to respond with kindness? Maybe you offer the barista a warm smile or a word of encouragement after the interaction. This small act of compassion doesn't just diffuse the tension, it also shifts the energy of the situation, reminding everyone involved that kindness is always an option, even in the face of rudeness. The Stoics saw kindness not as a sign of weakness, but as a form of strength. It's easy to lash out or retreat when someone disrespects you, but it takes real courage to respond with grace. Think of it like this: when you choose kindness, you're not just reacting to the other person's behavior, you're making a statement about who you are. You're showing that your actions are guided by your values, not by the negativity of others. So, how can you start practicing this in your own life? Begin by asking yourself, how can I respond with kindness in this moment? Maybe it's offering a calm reply to a harsh comment, or simply choosing not to engage in a heated argument. The key is to act with intention, focusing on what aligns with your principles rather than what feels easiest in the moment. Consider this: what's one situation where you could respond with kindness instead of frustration? Perhaps it's a coworker who's been short with you, or a family member who's made a snide remark. By choosing kindness, you not only diffuse the tension but also create an opportunity for connection and understanding. The Stoics didn't just teach us how to endure life's challenges, they showed us how to transform them into moments of growth and connection. And when you start responding to disrespect with kindness, you'll find that it's not just a gift to others, it's a gift to yourself, helping you navigate life with greater peace, purpose, and resilience. Kindness isn't about ignoring your boundaries or letting others off the hook for their actions. It's about choosing to act with integrity, even when it's hard. And when you approach life with this mindset, you'll discover that even the most difficult interactions can become opportunities to practice compassion, to strengthen your character, and to remind yourself that no matter how others act, you have the power to choose how you respond. So the next time you're faced with disrespect, ask yourself, how can I respond with kindness? You might be surprised by the impact it has, not just on the situation, but on your own sense of peace and purpose. After all, as the Stoics remind us, true strength isn't about winning battles. It's about staying true to who you are, no matter what comes your way. Disrespect loses its power when you stop craving approval. This is a truth the Stoics understood deeply, that seeking validation from others is a trap, one that leaves you vulnerable to their judgments and opinions. The Stoics believed that true fulfillment comes from within, not from the fleeting approval of others. Epictetus, the philosopher who endured slavery and hardship, put it bluntly: if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. In other words, when you stop worrying about what others think, you free yourself to live authentically and focus on what truly matters. Let's bring this into a modern context. Imagine scrolling through social media and seeing a post that criticizes something you've shared. Maybe it's a snarky comment or a dismissive reaction. Your first instinct might be to feel hurt, to question your choices, or even to delete the post to avoid further judgment. But what if instead you paused and reminded yourself, their opinion doesn't define me? Social media, after all, is a highlight reel, a place where people often project their own insecurities or biases. By letting go of the need for approval, you reclaim your power to post, share, and live without fear of judgment. This doesn't mean you become indifferent to others or stop caring about meaningful relationships. It's about recognizing that your worth isn't tied to likes, comments, or external validation. The Stoics called this ataraxia, a state of inner tranquility that comes from focusing on what you can control, your own thoughts, actions, and values. When you anchor yourself in these principles, the opinions of others lose their ability to shake you. So, how can you start letting go of the need for approval? Begin by asking yourself, why does this person's opinion matter to me? Often, you'll find that the fear of judgment is rooted in insecurity or a desire to fit in. Next, focus on your own values. What matters most to you? Is it kindness, integrity, creativity? By aligning your actions with these principles, you create a sense of fulfillment that no amount of external validation can match. Consider this: what's one area of your life where you could let go of the need for approval? Maybe it's at work, where you feel pressured to meet others' expectations, or in your personal life, where you worry about being judged for your choices. By practicing this Stoic principle, you'll find that disrespect loses its sting. It becomes less about what others think and more about staying true to yourself. The Stoics didn't just teach us how to endure life's challenges, they showed us how to thrive by focusing on what we can control. And when you stop craving approval, you'll discover a newfound sense of freedom, one that allows you to live boldly, authentically, and unapologetically. After all, as Epictetus reminds us, the only opinion that truly matters is your own. So, the next time you feel the weight of someone's judgment, ask yourself, does their approval define me? The answer, of course, is no. And when you embrace that truth, you'll find that disrespect becomes nothing more than background noise, a fleeting distraction in a life lived on your own terms. Will this moment of disrespect matter in a year or even a week? The Stoics had a powerful practice for putting life's challenges into perspective. Memento mori, a Latin phrase meaning remember you must die. At first glance, it might sound morbid, but this practice isn't about dwelling on death. It's about embracing the impermanence of life. By reminding ourselves that our time is limited, we gain clarity on what truly matters and what doesn't. Seneca, the Stoic philosopher, captured this idea perfectly when he wrote, "Life is long if you know how to use it." In other words, when you recognize how fleeting life is, the small slights and insults lose their power to upset you. Let's bring this into a real-world scenario. Imagine you're at a family gathering and a relative makes a passive-aggressive comment about your career choices. In the moment, it might sting, and you might feel the urge to defend yourself or fire back. But what if instead you paused and asked yourself, will this matter in a year? Chances are it won't. By zooming out and seeing the bigger picture, you can let go of the need to react and instead focus on what truly matters, your own peace of mind and the relationships you value. The Stoics used memento mori as a tool for perspective. They believed that by keeping the impermanence of life at the forefront of their minds, they could live more intentionally and let go of the trivial things that often consume our energy. Think of it like this: when you're standing at the edge of the ocean, the waves crashing at your feet seem huge. But when you step back and see the vastness of the sea, those waves become small and insignificant. In the same way, when you remember the brevity of life, the small insults and slights that once felt overwhelming suddenly shrink in importance. So how can you start practicing this in your own life? Begin by asking yourself a simple question when faced with disrespect. Will this matter in the long run? If the answer is no, let it go. If the answer is yes, approach it with intention and focus on what you can control, your response. Over time, this practice will help you navigate life's challenges with greater calm and clarity, knowing that most of the things that upset us today won't even be a memory tomorrow. Consider this: how can remembering the impermanence of life help you handle disrespect? Maybe it's by letting go of the need to prove yourself, or by choosing to focus on the relationships and goals that truly matter. When you approach life with this mindset, you'll find that the small slights and insults lose their power to disrupt your peace. Instead, they become reminders to live fully, intentionally, and with gratitude for the time you have. The Stoics didn't just teach us how to endure life's challenges, they showed us how to rise above them by keeping the bigger picture in mind. And when you start to see disrespect through the lens of impermanence, you'll discover a newfound sense of freedom, one that allows you to live boldly, authentically, and unshaken by the fleeting opinions of others. After all, as Seneca reminds us, life is too short to waste on things that don't truly matter. The 15 Stoic principles we've explored today aren't just ancient wisdom, they're timeless tools for navigating the challenges of modern life. From cognitive detachment to practicing kindness, from choosing your battles wisely to embracing impermanence, each principle offers a way to handle disrespect with calm, clarity, and dignity. Together, they form a powerful framework for reclaiming your peace of mind and responding to life's difficulties with strength and grace. Stoicism isn't about suppressing your emotions or pretending everything is fine. It's about understanding that while you can't control what happens to you, you can control how you respond. It's about recognizing that disrespect often says more about the other person than it does about you. And it's about choosing to act with integrity, even when it's hard. These principles aren't just philosophical ideas, they're practical strategies you can use every day, whether you're dealing with a rude comment, a difficult conversation, or a personal betrayal. Marcus Aurelius, one of Stoicism's greatest voices, once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." This is the heart of Stoicism, the belief that true peace comes from within. When you focus on what you can control, your thoughts, your actions, your values, you free yourself from the chaos of external events. You become unshakable, not because the world stops throwing challenges your way, but because you've learned how to stand tall within the storm. So, as we wrap up, I want to leave you with a question: which of these principles will you practice today? Maybe it's choosing silence over retaliation, or reframing a moment of disrespect as an opportunity for growth. Perhaps it's letting go of the need for approval or reminding yourself that this moment, like all moments, is fleeting. Whatever it is, take one small step today toward living with greater calm, clarity, and resilience. If you found these Stoic principles helpful, consider subscribing for more insights on how to navigate life's challenges with wisdom and grace. Together, we can explore how ancient philosophy can help us live better, more meaningful lives in the modern world. Thank you for joining me on this journey, and remember, no matter what comes your way, you have the power to choose how you respond. The strength to handle disrespect with dignity is already within you. Stoicism just helps you find it.